Very much. With that, we bring in former CIA director and former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. He is a Fox News contributor and author of his new book, Never Give an Inch, Fighting for the America I Love. And that is a title that I think is quite relevant today. Good to see you, Secretary Pompeo. I think it's
Martha,
astonishing, frankly, to most Americans to hear that we're just going to let this surveillance-gathering Chinese spy balloon keep floating over the United States for as long as it hangs around.
Yeah, Martha, I agree with you. It should be surprising to most Americans. We ought to bring this darn thing down. We have the capabilities and tools to do that. I'm confident that we could have done so safely. I think we probably still can do so safely, and we ought to do that. I'm happy to hear. I hope it's true that we've stopped it from transmitting data that it was collecting. And the Chinese say this was just a weather surveillance device. That's just fundamentally inconsistent with what the Chinese are doing all across America today. And Martha, as much as the intelligence, the fact that they've now penetrated our airspace, put a very visible symbol of their country over our airspace, and we have done nothing. This is a green light for bad guys all around the world, including Xi Jinping. There is the military significance, but also the political significance attached to the fact that Xi Jinping is clearly probing to see if the Biden administration is serious about never giving an inch about protecting our country. And to date, it doesn't appear to me that he's prepared to push back against them in any serious way.
So, I mean, what happens next? Are we going to let them have this back? Or do you have to take it down and see what's in it, see what information is in there, and say no? I heard General Stavridis earlier today. Oh, we're going to see a lot more of these. We're going to see a lot more of these balloons crossing over the country. So just get used to it. And in fact, they've come here before. You were in office. Have they come here before, these balloons? And were you aware of them?
Not to the best of my knowledge. I've spoken with Ambassador O'Brien, too, the National Security Advisor. This is different in kind, for sure. You told me folks can see this from the ground. I don't remember reports of anybody seeing this from the ground during our 4 years in office. This is not something we should take for granted. We shouldn't allow this to continue to happen. They are probing us everywhere, Martha. They're probing us in the Pacific with their fighter aircraft. We had a close incident not too many weeks ago. They're probing us in our home by putting propaganda on TikTok, poisoning our children. They're working in our schools and universities. This is just another example of the Chinese Communist Party's aggression. And to the extent that we give an inch, to the extent we appease them, they'll continue to expand. And, if we can't take down this balloon, if President Biden won't respond to this seriously, I doubt that his statement that we will defend Taiwan and help the Taiwanese people is something that Xi Jinping will ever take seriously.
So do we have similar devices over China? Is that why we're not, saying that we're going to shoot it down, because then we would see them retaliate in kind?
I was involved in all kinds of espionage, Martha. I can't talk about the details, but make no mistake about it. Every country tries to stop the other countries from collecting against them. There were massive Chinese counterintelligence efforts. We should perform counterintelligence here. We should stop their collection against us. These arguments, Martha, we heard them all the time. The Chinese were spying, the biggest spying operation, I think, ever in America, from the diplomatic facility in Houston, Texas. And for years we knew that, and we did nothing. The Trump administration, I directed that consulate be closed. They were stealing American jobs and American secrets. In this same way, the Biden administration responded to this effort to steal America's information, to steal its stuff, and frankly, to make us look weak on the global stage.
So the Pentagon told us that the balloon had limited additive value from an intel collection perspective, because they also have satellites that are further up that they think may be as good or better at collecting that intelligence. So what are they doing? What are the Chinese doing? What kind of point are they trying to prove? Or are we the ones who are naive in thinking that that balloon is not gathering significant intelligence?
Well, one of the pieces of intelligence they're collecting is how will America respond when we violate the law and we violate American airspace. That's an incredibly important piece of intelligence for the Chinese leadership to know. Is the Biden administration remotely serious about protecting the American people? As for the technical collection, what they're actually gathering, maybe the Department of Defense knows, maybe they've got this all figured out. But boy, wouldn't it be great, Martha, to show the world, to get this thing down, to bring it in, to do the analysis and collection that we need, and then to, if it's appropriate at that point in time, show the world, the American people, this is what the Chinese Communist Party is doing all across the world, and we need to stop them.
So we'll see if that's what they do. And we wait to hear something substantive from the president about his reaction here. We know that the Secretary of State, Antony Blinken, canceled his trip. I think there was pretty much widespread support for that decision. Former Secretary of State Pompeo, thank you very much. Good to have you here, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me on.